Chapter 2. Although terrified, Nina opened her almond-shaped, dark brown eyes and saw the bloodshot, wild, and frantic eyes of a dark brown complexioned man that she immediately recognized, and relived being lifted off the cool floor by his rough hands, hearing him grunt from his efforts while she pretended to be unconscious. When he tossed her on the bed, her body nosedived like a shot-down plane. Sometime later, he removed the bobby pins from her victory rolls, combed out her frizzy black hair until it fell into a cascade around her face, and planted a wet kiss on her forehead. It's Harry. He came to Roger's party and sat in a corner. Roger told me that Harry was shy. Nina, I'll kill you if you scream. I really do mean it, warned Harry, an obese man wearing a white t-shirt and work trousers as he unloosened the fabric from around her mouth. Harry, did you violate me? Before he could reply, Nina's beautiful dark brown eyes and flaring nostrils had already convicted him of the crime, and she was on the verge of madness from having to wear the urine-soiled Manchu collar dress with bound arms and legs. Ha ha ha, no, I didn't rape you. But you did put something in my coffee and drug me, Nina stated angrily, glaring at him. Nina, you better be nice to me, Harry replied. His large dark brown eyes became dead and vacant. Harry is crazy. Nina looked quickly about the mint green bedroom and spotted a telephone on the nightstand next to the mahogany bed. Harry, untie my arms and legs. Cool it. I want Roger. Nina began to cry. I'm all you got. Let me go. Do I look stupid? With a frown and raised eyebrows, Harry asked her. Let me go. You don't like me. Harry, I do like you. Not the way you like Roger. Harry is jealous of Roger. What am I going to do? Nina thought. I like you. Stop lying. Harry, I like you. Shut up, shut up. Harry slapped Nina.
Maybe Nina went to Arizona to hide out until the police finished their investigation. Her father had friends there, I considered as I strolled down 125th Street while my sunglasses, pink summer dress, and pink espadrilles worked overtime to keep me cool. If Nina was in the morgue, God forbid the police should have identified her body by now. I'm sure Detective Yates contacted her boyfriend Roger. Why hasn't Roger called me? Well, he is a lawyer. I suppose he's busy inside and out the courtroom. Maybe he hired a private investigator to look for Nina. Wait a minute. She could be laying low at that hush-hush infirmary Mario told me about, and to keep my mouth shut about it because hoods protected the place. Caramel Jenkins? Caramel Jenkins! I turned my head to see who was calling me, and it was Detective Paul Yates. I'd read in the weeklies he'd solved 7 murder cases, arrested a number of violent criminals, and saved a family from a burning tenement. Rumor had it, Yates kept company with the lonely hearts on Strever's Row, dabbled here and there with the down-in-the-valley kitty cats, and that women swore he was a killer diller. Plus, he occasionally hung out in Greenwich Village. Yates worked the night shift. How come he wasn't at home getting some shut-eye? I wasn't in the mood to look at his bald head, stare into his critical blue eyes, or answer any of his questions. So, I started walking at a fast clip, crossed the street, blended into the crowd, and made my way to the infirmary. I rang the doorbell of the brownstone housing the infirmary and waited for a reply. The clinic was run by mature, single, and divorced women that were licensed nurses and midwives who dressed and lived like nuns and called the brownstone a convent. They treated their patients with traditional medicine and faith healing and discreetly assisted gunshot victims. Yes, how can I help you? Asked a very dark, brown-complexioned nun in a gentle, melodic voice, with the door slightly ajar, allowing the sound of a Johann Sebastian Bach orchestra composition from the radio along with the scent of mere incense to escape. Her small, dark brown eyes, little nose, medium-sized lips, and chubby cheeks were surrounded by a white cotton habit. I removed my sunglasses and placed them in my purse. My name is Caramel Jenkins. I'm looking for my friend. Can you help me? Yes, do come in. I'm Sister Bernadette. After locking the front door behind me, she levitated a foot off the hardwood floor and floated across the entrance into a small parlor. I followed her. A cathedral radio rested on the hardwood floor, paintings of seascapes, flowers, trees, and the sun hung on the creamy yellow walls. A floor lamp lit the room, and 2 green armchairs separated by an end table had white starched doilies covering their backs, and a small green couch faced the armchairs. Since I didn't hear any people talking, I gathered the clinic was in another part of the brownstone with a separate entrance. Dear, what's your friend's name? Asked Sister Bernadette, sitting in one of the armchairs and closing her eyes. I sat in the other one with my mouth agape. astounded at what I'd just witnessed and unable to answer her question. So the nun asked me again, "Dear, what's your friend's name?" My words finally tumbled out of my mouth. "Her name is Nina Stone," I said. "We haven't seen a patient by that name," the nun responded. "I think she may be a Jane Doe, possibly suffering from amnesia," I replied. "We don't have a Jane Doe here. I'm sorry to bother you. Thank you for your help." I rose from the armchair. "Wait, dear, do you have something that Nina Stone has touched?" "Yes, I have a handkerchief in my purse that she gave me." "Give me the handkerchief." "I need to hold it for a few minutes, and you can sit down," Sister Bernadette instructed. I handed the handkerchief from my purse to the nun and sat down. She held the white square cloth in her hands with her eyes closed. She faded in and out of the chair as Beethoven's Symphony No. 9 played on the radio. 10 minutes went by before Sister Bernadette's body stopped drifting in and out, and her eyes opened again. "Caramel, your friend Nina Stone has been kidnapped by a young man. His spirit is full of turmoil, and your friend's life is in danger. She's in Harlem, but I don't know where. You need to find her right away." Sister Bernadette handed the handkerchief out to me to collect. "Thank you for the information, Sister Bernadette." I rose from the chair, and as I opened my purse to give her a donation, she shook her head. "Dear, you don't have to pay me. I give freely. The Spirit provides for me." I placed Nina's handkerchief in my handbag and put my sunglasses back on as Sister Bernadette floated toward the entrance, escorting me to the front door. I didn't think the nun was pulling my leg about Nina being kidnapped. It just wasn't like her to leave town without notifying Roger and me. I was in a real pickle. If I told the police what the nun revealed to me, they would admit me to Bellevue Psychiatric Hospital. And if I told Roger, he would look upside my head. I simply didn't know what to do. When I got home, I bawled over Nina's situation and my inability to help her. A couple of hours later, I pulled myself together so I could perform that night. Every gilded black lacquered velvet chair at the Marcel nightclub was occupied on our Friday night opening, and the cash registers were humming. The large rectangle mirror behind the bar, bordered by gilded leaves, and the club's black and light blue fan-patterned wallpaper with accents of gold and silver created an elegant mood. I sang My Kind of Love for my first set wearing a page boy wig and a red tulle strapless fitted evening gown. After my set, I retired to the light blue dressing room with a glass of cola and thumbed through an Ebony magazine. Though my mind was still whirling about Nina, I noticed Mario hadn't dropped by the dressing room after the quartet's performance to check on me like he usually did. Later on, Bill, who played the piano for Mario's quartet, showed up. He'd recently conked his hair. If he wanted the slicked-back look sported by Rudolph Valentino, Cesar Romero, and Ricky Ricardo, it was none of my business. However, I preferred a black man's naps-out natural like Mario's. I once saw photographs of a little boy whose nappy hair was twisted into strings resembling a mop head, and New Guinean and Samoan men who let their hair grow out like a bush all over their heads in an old National Geographic magazine. I never knew colored folks could do that with their hair. "Your first set was burning," Bill said, nodding his head. "Thanks. Need another cola?" he asked. "No, I'm fine. This one will do. Whatever you need, I'll get it." "Thanks." Bill lit a cigarette. For some reason, I sensed Bill was trying to keep me from leaving the dressing room. "I think I'll take a little walk. I need some fresh air," I said. "Stay put. I'll get a fan for you, just like I figured." Once the coast was clear, I left the room with my glass of cola in hand. The Marcel's house band was playing. I decided to take a short walk down the backstage corridor and return to the dressing room. When I walked past the security guard, he gave me a strange look, and shortly thereafter I saw Mario smooching a kitty against the wall in the corridor. She was a tall heifer, about 5'7", with thinly arched eyebrows, black shoulder-length hair, and red-boned. If a man wanted a lot of meat and potatoes, she would have been his main dish. It all started to click. Every time I turned around, Mario had to go over to Bill's house to work on this or that musical arrangement. He was working all right. I walked up to them and asked in a loud voice, "Mario, who's your lady friend?" The two lovebirds ignored me, so I splashed their faces with cola. Mario quickly turned around and stood in front of the woman to protect her from me. "Pia, you need to go," Mario told the kitty. As Pia hauled her big ass out of the club wearing a polka dot evening dress that happened to match Mario's polka dot tie, she blinked her light brown eyes and said, "Baby, call me before you come over." Since Bill picked me up from home without Mario, I assumed he was at the nightclub, but he wasn't, and I had no idea what Mario was wearing. The white suit, polka dot tie, and black shirt that he had on was brand new. I figured he'd bought Pia's evening dress that matched his tie with our money and dressed over at her place. A handful of the nightclub's employees were eyeballing us at this point. As a result, I told Mario in a low voice, "Go to hell." "Caramel, we'll talk about this at home," he whispered. His hazel eyes were ablaze and jaws tight. "If I were you, I wouldn't come home," I replied, glaring at him. Mario pointed a finger at me and whispered, "I pay the rent there and I'll be there. If I were you, I wouldn't go to sleep." I walked away, feeling like a fool for not heeding my mother's advice about him, and gave my glass to the security guard. Back in the dressing room, I turned on the fan that Bill left on top of the table. The cool air was heaven sent as my mind churned. I was obligated to fulfill the nightclub's contract, so I couldn't leave. I paced the floor. Obviously, Pia was Mario's girlfriend, and everyone knew about it except me. Was she a singer? Was I being replaced? I wondered, finally sitting down to refresh my makeup. I wasn't changing into my strapless white evening gown until my third set. When I arrived backstage, Mario's quartet was setting up, and they gave me the cold shoulder treatment. Nevertheless, I told the crew, "I'm singing, you've changed, and Bill, I'm playing the piano on this set." The musicians' jaws dropped and they glanced at each other. They were familiar with the song because we'd rehearsed it several times. "I'll set up the microphone for you and let the MC know about the song change," Bill replied. "Thanks," I said, smiling with all of my 32 teeth showing as Mario looked at me with a "what in the hell are you doing" expression in his eyes. I suppose he didn't say anything to me to avoid a ruckus, unbeknownst to Mr. Big Shot. I'd been refreshing and owning my piano skills at the neighborhood piano store in exchange for crooning the owner's favorite tunes. Couples on the dance floor stopped dancing and listened to me. Couples at the table held hands, and the chit-chat at the Marcel nightclub halted as soon as my fingers touched the piano keys as the stage curtain rose. I played the song at a fast clip. My phrasing didn't dawdle in pain or swim in a river of tears. The bass, drums, and saxophone fell in line. I signaled the guys before I ended the song in an abrupt fashion after the refrain. My interpretation of the song bowled the crowd over. In fact, I received a standing ovation, and Mario gazed at me in utter disbelief. On my way to the dressing room, a cocktail waitress thrust a business card in my hand. I looked at it and recognized the name of a top booking agent and put it away. Despite the requests of the club's management and patrons, I didn't play the piano during my final two performances. Without saying anything to Mario, I left the nightclub after my final set and took a cab home. The levee broke when I got home. I cried my eyes out on the couch. I couldn't understand how Mario could disrespect me, and how could I be such a dumb Dora. I soon got tired of my pity party and tore up the house searching for our bank savings and checking account books, nightclub contracts, and bills. I wanted to know how much money was coming in and leaving our household, as well as what and who Mario was spending the money on. I was certain Pia was getting a cut from our earnings.